Okay, so the first thing I generally do is start putting the model into the various materials that I'm going to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and start adding the plastic for these pieces. So I'm going to come in over here to materials. Now there's two ways of doing this. I could come over to here, I could come into the material section here, or I could double click here and it would open the materials up over here. And I could assign, you notice that it's already assigned Blinn, but I could assign one of the material types here. Or you can go for the presets, which are over here. So I'm going to go for a preset. I'm going to click plastic. And what I want it to be a light plastic, something like this, not too reflectant. Actually, I might go for this. And what you can do is you can just your left hand mouse drag and drag over to the model piece. Now for this you can take it to blue, or you can pick another color like here. Now I'm going to pick this off color and then I'll change the colors later because I want to see the changes. Okay, so I'm going to go, that's one color which I quite like, and then I'll say I'm going to maybe choose this color for this. Now the color I've got here I can change up here very easily. The only reason I'm changing it is because I want to see the actual colors going on my model. Alright, and I think this one I'll put into the same color there. Alright, so that's the plastic pieces done on the model. Now on here I want this to be a metal, so I'm going to go up to my metals and I'm going to look at one of these, and I like this anodized one. Now do be careful, some of these have got effects added to them. Like if I put this one in here, it's actually got an alpha and stuff, so I'm going to put it on there just to show you. I'm going to click it on there, which should have appeared on this side as well. You see it's got this great big kind of hole through it, and this is because they're in the texture over here in the material tab. If we go over texture, you can see it's got a bump map and an opacity map. Okay, and the property of it is this yellow, which I can change if I wanted to, change it to a different color, slightly lighter color. But under here, the reason you've got these big holes is because the scale of the actual bump and opacity map. So if I come down to here and I start moving this slider, you will start to see that it will get smaller and smaller like that. Okay, so you can move that down. It's got the built-in alpha so that you can see through the model, which is what we're going to apply later. If I zoom back up here, if I turn this opacity off, then it will be solid. Yeah, just so you know, because we're going to do the similar thing with the speakers here. So what I want to do is I want it to be an anodized, so I'm going to go and pick one of these kind of anodized materials and have a look at it. I'm not happy with that. That's better, it's nicer. Okay, and I think I'm going to maybe pick a plastic for this middle central piece. So for now I'm just going to put a red in there. Okay, it's alright, we're going to bring the textures back later. This is just to put the base colours down, and I'll just go and put something else in. Oh, we've got to just unlink, so I'm going to right hand click, unlink material, and jump that back up there. And for this little strap area here, I'm going to put that, and for this little piece in here, I'm going to put that. Okay, now that's good. And also I want to pick something for this. Now I want a rubberized material, so I'm going to go to one of the Moldtec materials, which gives you this really cool look. So you can see there, it's got a bump map. Now, like I told you just now, if we go into the texture tab here, and where we've got bump, we come down, we can scale this just to make it quite a tight texture. So there you go, it's slightly bumpy. Alright, so that's the first part. This piece and the light, I'm actually going to turn that off in the scenes tab. So I'm going to click that in there. And I'm just going to temporarily just get rid of these for now, these two, and concentrate on them later. And what I want to do is I want the speaker part in here to be a metal, but we're going to leave that till later as well. So I'm going to turn it off in the scenes tab, and around here I'm going to click this one, just turn this one off. Alright, good. And now we've got this inside piece. Now this inside piece would be a kind of matte colour. So I'm going to go back into the plastics and I'm going to choose a matte plastic, something like this black. So I'm going to drop that in there, and I'll probably drop that in there as well. Where I've got these colours in here, I'll just quickly drop a colour in there, a matte plastic again, and one in there. Okay, so that's our basic bit set up. Now down here we can do the same. I can put this into a plastic and we can choose a metal for this. Now in this case it's going to be a kind of chromium colour, quite a dark, almost a 24 karat gold would be good. So I'll just put that, drop that on there, instantly it looks cool. Alright, good. So this is now our model in colours. So if we go to our materials now, you can see that lots of our parts now, or lots of our materials are in there. And we've got a few blends left, but it's basically replaced most of it. Alright, so that's putting our basic materials down, ready for the next stage. So I'm going to click save now. I'll save that out and replace that. Good. Okay, now we can see that both our basic materials are in there. I'm just going to sort of change these now. So I'm going to just double click on this to get the material up, and I'm going to select the material I want. Now I want it to be a kind of white plastic, so I'm just going to select this, and I want there to be a slight difference between this material, and this material, but them to be basically the same. So I know my number is 167 here on the grayscale, so I'm going to click OK. I'm now going to double click this piece, and again we're going to just put in here 167. If you want, you can just copy this, Control C, and you can Control V there, and that's put it in the same material, but I don't want exactly the same material. Probably want it a little bit lighter, yeah, or maybe a little bit darker, which looks best. A little bit darker. Okay, and the same for this one. I'll put this into something a little bit lighter. Okay, good. Right, this head strap now. The head strap I'm going to make a kind of blacky colour. So I'll bring it down here. And this piece here, I think this will go into a grey as well. Something quite dark. And this piece right at the back, I think I'll literally put it down to nearly black, just so it looks a little bit different. Good, okay. Alright, that's good. Okay, so next thing to do is to grab this. So I'm double clicking here, and I'm going to want this to be a kind of lightish material. But inside of textures, I'm going to click the colour. Now I want to go and find my texture for this that we created. It's in the headphones section, it's in source images, and inside here you'll see that I've got a diffuse layer here, so I'm going to click open. And under mapping, because this has been UV'd, I don't want box map, I want to take it from my UV coordinates, and there you go, it's been put in there. Now as an extra thing, we're just going to grab the bump map as well that we created, which is here. Okay, and I'm going to open that, and you should, if we go down to bump height, be able to just crank this up a little bit. And now I don't know if you can see, but it's got a little bit of a bump map on there now. It's pushed out a little bit. And finally, I want to click the material again, and under the properties I want to go to the roughness and I'm going to bring it down. If you look at the top here, you can see what will happen. I don't want it to be rough, I want it to be got quite a lot of specular in there. I'm going to make sure the specula's on white up there. That's good. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into texture now and I'm going to load a specular map. And the specular map I'm going to load is going to be from my logo bump. This way it will be matte here and it will be more specular here. It's quite hard to see with that material, but it's very subtle. Okay, so that's good. So that's that one done. So what we need to do now is we need to go into this part here. So I'll just double click this. We need to go into textures. We need to load the color up for that, which in this case is this head shell left here. So I'll click open. I want to make sure that it's UV coordinate down here. And you can see now it's put that ring around it. Notice if I turn it off. Back on, we got that. Okay. So that looks nice and it's replicated over to the other side. We haven't got a bump map for this, so we're going to leave that. And now we need to concentrate our attention on, I don't like this, I think it should be, I might give it a different colour. Maybe make it a bit lighter. This I might make metal as well, I'm not sure yet. Okay, so inside here now, I'm just going to grab this, and I like that colour, the blue. Just going to click this one and make it maybe quite a light kind of greeny colour. Okay, you're not going to see a lot of this. And this one in the middle, I'm going to double click this. We're going to make this lighter. I'm going to make this a kind of light grey there. And finally we've got this bit here, which I'm going to go into the textures and I'm going to load the texture color for this, which is this boom diffuse. Okay, and it will put that on there as long as I hit the UV maps there. So there we go. I don't know if you can see, but you can see that texture just appearing in there. Now finally we're going to put the bump map in there, so I'm just going to check that, and there's our boom bump there. So I'm going to click that and you'll see it will change. See that? Looks good to me. Might make the height a little bit more, a bit stronger. And finally, where we've got the specular, I'm going to come into the textures and I'm going to use the bump as the specular. And there we go. So now, because it's on the hexagons, it's lighter. It's going to pick up the light, but inside it's darker, so it's going to pick up less light. It's very subtle with this, but it should look quite good. Alright, so that moves us on to the grill pieces. So I'm going to open my scene up and I'm just going to turn these grill pieces back on. And there. And we'll set these up now. Okay, let's set our grill up. So I've already got some bump maps applied here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a good metal for this. Something like a platinum would be good. So I'll just drop that on there. You can see the reflection already. That's quite cool. So I'm going to double click this now and we're going to go across to the textures. And what I need to do is I've basically got a bump map and an opacity map. So I'm going to check this and I'm going to choose one of my bump maps. Probably this one. Actually, it's not a bump map, it's a normal map, so I need to just open that up. And under the settings right down here, I need to check normal map. Okay. I also need to change this type to UV coordinates. Now you'll see things happening, but I need to rescale this. So I'm going to scale this right down. And now you can see the texture being scanned. So I'll leave it like that for now, and underneath the texture label here I'm now going to hit the opacity. Now I've got an opacity one ready, which is this one. It means that the black places will be transparent, the white pieces will be opaque. I'm going to click open. Now you can see through this. If I actually get the size of this different, then you'll see that you can actually see right through. Yeah. So I can bring that down, and that looks good. But I'm not happy with it. So what I want to do is I want to use one of my other ones. I've got this nickel one with these holes in. I'm going to drag this across, and I'm going to go to my textures. It's got little holes in it, and I'm going to just drag the size of this down. I prefer this with these little holes in, because it means I can see a little bit of the detail underneath. Like that. That looks better to me. Alright, so we're nearly there. It will look a lot better once we start to put some environments in there and start to get some reflections going.